Welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategy Packed episode where we dive deep into the competitive world of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Today we're discussing a hot topic that's been burning up the meta, the formidable Tenpai deck and how to effectively counter it. So sharpen your skills and prepare your side decks as we dissect the best ways to dismantle the Tenpai strategy, ensuring you're not caught off guard by its explosive potential. Stay tuned as we break down key targets for your hand traps, suggest direct counters, and explore essential board breakers and floodgates to keep you one step ahead of the game. Let's dive right into the heart of this deck strategy and ensure you have the upper hand in your next duel. Unlike strategies that activate during the main phase, this deck strategically goes second and uses its battle phase to summon monsters that, once destroyed, trigger effects allowing for their resummoning and continuous attacks until the strategy OTKs their opponent. As the deck's core engine compromises just 15 cards, it efficiently incorporates numerous hand traps to almost always stop the opponent's moves, pushing them to sub-bar boards, or face a barrage of attacks which lead down to beatdown victories. Enhanced by powerful board clearing spells like Lightning Storm and Raigeki, the Tenpai deck is designed to be unforgiving and aggressive. Sometimes surviving one battle phase is not going to be enough against this Tenpai strategy. So how do you overcome this beast? That's exactly why we are here today. Today we'll be exploring effective counters to this aggressive strategy. If you enjoy this type of content and find it useful, please consider supporting our channel. Subscribe, like the video, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with our latest uploads and live streams. Your support helps me keep bringing these insights, so thank you for watching, and a huge shout out before we begin this actual video, a message for our sponsor and to all of you. This is our very first sponsored video, and I am beyond ecstatic to be partnering up with Into the AM. If you're on the hunt for t-shirts that strike the perfect balance between comfort and style, whether you prefer slick plain tees or vibrant graphic tees, Into the AM has got you covered. These shirts are incredibly soft and stretchy, offering a snug fit around the neck and arms while leaving ample space around the chest and the waist. I kid you not, like, this shirt is extremely flattering. This is an Into the AM shirt that I'm rocking right now here on the channel, and it also glows in the dark, man. Glows in the dark. That's pretty cool, honestly. So throughout this video, as I've already covered, you'll see me sporting an Into the AM t-shirt. I'm really impressed by these t-shirts, to be honest, because they maintain their shape and provide really nice depth to kind of give you a nice fitted silhouette, essentially. And it also reminds me of designs and shirt styles of tees that you can find in Zoomies and in Vans, but much softer, that don't feel like sandpaper. These shirts feel really nice, stretchy, and honestly, super excited to be rocking these, man. Feel free to check out Into the AM, and if you're interested, be sure to use my promo code, which is listed right here on the video. Also will be pinned in the comments, and you can find it in the description as well. Please note that this sponsorship is eligible for commissions, so if you purchase anything from Into the AM using my code, I will receive compensation. I believe in transparency with our community and want you all to be aware of my sponsored endeavors. Now let's dive into the detailed counter guide so that we can hold up our game against the Tenpai deck. To begin with, we're going to cover when to Ash and when to Imperm. Of course, Imperm is going to encompass cards like Ghost Mourner and Effect Veiler. And here's a quick public service announcement. Think twice, and I kid you not, think twice before using Ash Blossom on Pot of Prosperity. It's often just bait. There are more crucial cards worth negating. Remember, the Tenpai deck can easily continue its combos and achieve an OTK even under Prosperity. Don't risk losing a card from your hand only to be defeated on the follow-up. So when do you Ash and Imperm? Let's go ahead and get started. Your number one target for Ash is going to be Sangen Summoning. This should be your primary target for Ash Blossom. Why? It's the critical starter for the Tenpai combo that can lead to an OTK and devastate your board. It's the number one card that you want to stop against the Tenpai strategy. By disrupting the activation of Sangen Summoning, you are going to disrupt the search for Tenpai Dragon Pydra. You significantly hinder the Tenpai deck's ability to execute its strategy. Blocking this key move is crucial, especially in a format where playing first often secures an advantage. Targeting Sangen Summoning disrupts their momentum and exploits their vulnerabilities of their blind going second strategy. If you fail to disrupt the Sangen Summoning, Here's the sequence you're likely to face. 1. Activation of Sangen Summoning. This triggers the effect to search for Tenpai Dragon Pydra, which is then added to the player's hand. Summoning of Tenpai Dragon Pydra. Upon being normal summoned, it activates this effect to search for and add Sangen Kaiman to the hand. This marks the completion of the initial setup of the Tenpai strategy during the main phase. At this point, your opponent is going to transition to the battle phase where the Tenpai deck truly shines. With Tenpai Dragon Pydra on board during the battle phase, Pydra will attack. It aims to destroy any monster that it can beat over or attack directly, which after the attack, the opponent is going to activate Sangen Kaiman, leading to the summoning of Tenpai Dragon Chandra, because Chandra will be added to hand, and Chandra, as well as other Tenpai Dragon monsters, can inherently special summon themselves to the board as long as you control a fire dragon monster. Honestly, all Tenpai dragons are fire type. Fulfilling this requirement is effortless. Chandra will then attack. Again, it'll attack either directly or to another opponent's monster, trigger its effect to special summon a level 4 or lower dragon from the deck, and at that point it's going to be Tenpai Dragon Pydra, which is literally the last choice that we have here. With these monsters assembled, the Tenpai player is primed to launch into devastating synchro combos, attacking to potentially achieve that OTK. Thus, stopping Sangen summoning early is key to disrupting this formidable chain of events. This is why it is imperative to save Ash for Sangen summoning. The Tenpai deck heavily relies on the field spell, so knowing this will give you the upper hand when dealing with this strategy. The second target for Ash, and this one will also include impermanence, so second option for Ash, first option for infinite impermanence. Among the key components in the Tenpai lineup, Tenpai Dragon Chandra along with Pydra and Pydra are crucial targets. Ash Blossom or Infinite Impermanence can significantly affect the opponent's game plan. Our focus for this counter guide will be on Tenpai Dragon Chandra, typically the most impactful and usually almost always the first to come out of the three, if not right after Pydra. If Tenpai Dragon Chandra is normal summon and its effect is activated without being interrupted and it survives on the board, as the player transitions to the battle phase, it will attack and trigger its effect to special summon a level 4 or lower dragon from the deck. Typically, this is going to be Pydra. In this scenario, let's say that your opponent activated Sangen Summoning, used its effect to search and discard a card, and now there is a Tenpai monster in the graveyard, which is Pydra. Therefore, Chandra's effect will special summon Pydra. Chandra's effect is similar to Kashira Fenrir, by the way. After the attack is declared and the effect is activated and resolves, the player may decide to continue the attack or stop it. This will be based on whether Chandra can attack over a monster or not. The player will special summon Pydra. Phydra's summoned effect will activate to special summon Tenpai Pydra from the graveyard. In this case, Phydra's effect will be activated on summon to search and add Sangen Kaiman to their hand, only for it to be activated to search another Tenpai monster. Remember, Tenpai monsters special summon themselves as long as a fire dragon is present on the board. This is where the loop starts to spiral, effectively rebooting the initial combo sequence we outlined earlier. If left unchecked, this cycle can quickly lead to an OTK. The third card that we should focus on that is going to be a target for Ash Blossom is going to be Sangen Kaiman. Sangen Kaiman is a crucial card to counter within the Tenpai strategy, particularly due to its role in facilitating the deck's core combos. Although the Tenpai deck consists of 15 core cards only, the statistical probability of assembling the optimal components for a blind OTK from a 6-card starting hand is relatively low. Now, I did the math. I'm not a mathematician in any way, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but the probability of drawing exactly one core card is 20%. And the probability of drawing exactly 2 core cards is 35%. These probabilities suggest that starting with an ideal hand for executing an OTK is quite unlikely. If your opponent plays Sangen Kaiman early in the game or to start off their turn, it often suggests that they might not have the perfect setup for an OTK. This potentially offers you a strategic advantage. It's important to remember, however, that despite the limited number of core cards, in this case being 15, the deck is supported by a plethora of hand traps and supportive cards such as Talons, Thrust, Ash, Veiler, Ghost Ogre, Ghost Mourner, Prosperity. They have a bunch of cards to be reactive to help balance the odds of the low percentage of drawing into their core strategy. These cards are prime targets for strategic disruption for using Ash Blossom and Infinite Impermanence. Although targeting these cards cannot definitively prevent an OTK or guarantee victory against the Tenpai strategy, these choke points do represent critical moments of disruption. Effectively disrupting these points can significantly impede the opponent's momentum. Having identified these critical choke points and the optimal timing for Ash Blossom and Infinite Impermanence against the Tenpai deck, we can now move on to 5 direct counters. These suggestions are based on my personal experience and testing. Remember, the effectiveness of any strategy varies. It's crucial to adapt these counters to fit your deck and playstyle to ensure they play smoothly and do not brick your gameplay. Here are 5 counters to try and consider. Using either Dimensional Barrier or Spellbound can be particularly effective against the Tenpai strategy, especially when you have the advantage of going first, which is often the case when you play against Tenpai. By specifying synchros with Dimensional Barrier or setting up Spellbound, you can block any synchro plays. This often leads to opponents conceding immediately. In my perspective between both of these, I found Spellbound to be significantly better in overall meta play. The second direct counter is Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. This is an excellent choice, particularly effective when used against Sangen Summoning. Activating Ghost Ogre in response to the activation of Sangen Summoning's effect to add and dump disrupts its resolution, sending it to the graveyard. This response is also effective when Tenpai Dragons use their effects to search and add a card, special summon to the board during the battle phase, or attempt to special summon a Tenpai monster from the graveyard, thereby potentially disrupting synchro plays. However, caution is necessary, as I think that if you are targeting a Tenpai monster, it should be on Fadra, because Fadra will special summon a Tenpai dragon from the grade, potentially still leading to synchro plays, so it's kind of a tough bout here. The next 3 cards on this top 5 direct counter list are going to be DD Crow, Skullmeister, and Ghost Bell, a trio of powerful tech cards. These cards excel in disrupting the Tenpai strategy revival and combo plays, each in its unique way. We'll start off with DD Crow. DD Crow is instrumental in targeting and removing key cards from the graveyard. Target the Fadra special summon play, target the card that they dump through Sangen Summoning, or target any of their synchro monsters that are already in the grave, because they will bring themselves back to the board after they have attacked 3 times within one battle phase. Skullmeister and Ghost Bell are particularly similar, and they are both adept at blocking effects that would move cards from the graveyard and prevent cards from the graveyard from activating their effects. These are just perfect against the synchro monsters that will be used for OTK plays. Collectively, these counters not only disrupt the Tenpai's deck's ability to construct formidable synchro towers, but also bolster your control over the game board. These direct counters are meta covering, meaning they are not only for the sole purposes of dueling against Tenpai, but also valuable against other meta decks such as Snake Eyes, Bell, Horus, Fire King, Pearly, and many other deck strategies still in the top tiers in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Moving forward, we're delving into board breakers. This segment is particularly challenging because typically board breakers are intended for situations when you are going second, not first. It's a bit ironic, but despite this, there are still some outstanding techs that can make a significant difference here. Nibiru is a tech that I want to talk about. While Nibiru is often hailed as this amazing god tier board breaker, it's surprisingly awful against the Tenpai strategy. This is because the Tenpai deck tends to special summon all of their synchro monsters and scale their boards during the battle phase, whereas Nibiru's activation requirement is limited to the main phase. Instead, the most reliable board breaker in this context is Evenly Matched, but even at that point, it's not that great, because if they're going second, they're attacking you while you already have an established board. So if you survive the battle phase, Dark Rule No More, Lava Golem, Raw Sphere Mode, Kaijus, those are fantastic. Really, really fantastic cards to play against the Tenpai strategy, because more than likely they'll end up with 3 big towers on the board that are going to be extremely difficult to get over. Cards such as Talents, Raigeki, Lightning Storm, also great against your turn. Talents and Thrust are amazing against the Tenpai strategy when you're going first, so definitely consider that, because again, plethora of hand traps and responses during your turn are going to be very, very important. Talents, I think it should be played at 3. Thrust arguably should be played between 2 to 3 as well, just because of how many hand traps exist for this strategy. Cards that you should consider putting into your strategy Super Polymerization is really good. Get out your Mud Dragon, your Garura, and Forbidden Droplet, because one, it'll negate the effect of monsters on the board and they can't respond with monsters, and two, it'll apply an attack reduction to further help you survive a battle phase and prevent an OTK. On the turnaround, such as game 2 and 3, you can choose to go second yourself, and these board breakers are going to be much more monumentally impactful for you and detrimental for your opponent. Therefore, while board breakers traditionally are amazing going first or second, for this niche strategy, board breakers will be most effective going second. That's our list for board breakers. If you have any other board breakers that you know of that have worked well against the Tenpai strategy, feel free to share the wealth in the comments below. Moving on to our floodgates, oppressive cards for meta strategies. Dimensional Shifter is going to stand out as arguably the best floodgate card. It's a staple in the majority of side decks and is widely recognized as an effective choice against broad range of strategies, which is why it wasn't directly included as a direct counter in this section, because not every deck can use it, but it should be a card that every player should consider so long as Dimensional Shifter is at 2 or 3. Anti-Spell Fragrance is particularly formidable given the Tenpai deck running over 18 spells or up to 18 spells. Its impact, however, is somewhat diminished now that it is limited to 1 card per deck. As an alternative, or in addition to, consider pairing it with Hidden Village of the Spellcasters if you're able to run Spellcasters for optimal floodgate interactions. And if Hidden Village isn't viable for your deck, Magic Deflector serves as a more generic and widely adopted tech option. Necro Valley rounds out our list of floodgates, effectively shutting down graveyard usage and representing a solid choice for inclusion in either your side or main deck. With several powerful floodgates like Summon Limit Band, options are now more limited in this area, hence exploring other cards suggested in this guide for optimal gameplay strategies is widely encouraged and recommended. Before we end this counter guide, we do have some honorable mentions that people let me know about. I tried them. I wasn't so happy about them, but you know what? They do work. You just have to find a way to use them. Certain cards like Battle Fader, Wabaku, Threatening Roar, and even Magic Cylinder and Mirror Forces may be too niche or slow against other meta strategies in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, but offer specific and amazing utility against the Tenpai strategy. So consider these at your own risk. The ones that I enjoyed the most out of these honorable mentions, Battle Fader was crazy, and Mirror Force, Radiance, and Storming were amazing. You can also tech in a card such as the Ruma Cannon to prevent synchro plays. It can be used during the battle phase, so once they start bringing out their boards, activate it, let them come back on their turn or at the end of the phase. Really good, solid option against the Tenpai strategy. Test these with an open mind and no expectations for universal success. Well, are there any counters you found particularly effective from this list, or have you found better techs outside of this list which are superior to the cards that I provided? Feel free to share your experiences in the comments below. Tailor your approach to fit the needs and synergies of your deck. Together, we can master the counterplay against the Tenpai strategy. Let's meet this challenge with amazing counters and strategic insights. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of Tenpai strategy counters. Until next time, take care. Happy dueling. Thank you for being a part of this community, and shout out to Into the AM for sponsoring our very first video. Don't forget to check them out. This shirt is amazing. Feels great. Love you all. Bye.